Welcome back to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. For friendly expert tax advice whenever you need it, come to Donahue Accounting Services. A leading accounting firm in Cincinnati, Ohio, our top-notch accountants strive to help you resolve all your financial and tax issues. Call Donahue Accounting Services today for a free consultation at 513-528-3982 or visit online at DonahueAccountingService.com. I'm your host, Alex Meacham, former Bearcat basketball player from 1997 to 1999 under the Hall of Fame coach, Bob Huggins.
And I'm Neil Meyer with the Front Office News.
And I'm JT Smith, editor-in-chief for the Front Office News.
All right, fellas, we are back for another episode. Let's jump right into it. The Bearcats are currently 19-15 after defeating DePaul in the Crown Tourney 83-61. This is the Bearcat game recap segment sponsored by Purple Monkey Project. JT, thoughts on the Bearcats' performance?
Hey, I mean, besides like maybe the first 7 minutes, I thought they played pretty good, honestly. I mean, I feel like they, of course, they looked a little sluggish at times early. And then once they got rolling, though, they did what they were supposed to do against DePaul, man. So I'm not mad at that. My keys to the game, they shot over 45%. They won the glass. So happy about that. Shout out to, Halveen Zilla. He got some burn. Thought he looked pretty solid.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on? We talked about that last. We talked about it.
So it was crazy because it was like a person that you're like, man, maybe he does go on the portal, but then
he's a mystery.
He came in. I don't know. Did Wes listen to the pod?
He said, "Man, I need to get some info for the."
Let me see, man. Hold up. All right, let me see what's going on. So like, but I mean, I thought he played well in his minutes, man. Looked like a guy. He's a more physically imposing looking player besides Aziz, you know what I mean? So I think like him and his weight per se, I think that's a positive sign for the Bearcats. I'm really excited to see how he plays, against UCF. And if they win that game, how far they go, I want to see his minutes, man. So yeah,
I like this,
with
I like
him
too. I thought he was moving at a high pace,
For sure. So, like, honestly, like, his minutes gave me a lot of hope of, like, hey, I hope they can keep this guy. I hope he wants to stay. You know what I mean? Because I was like, you can see from when you can tell he's getting more comfortable. That week, those couple weeks off, I feel like he looks very able.
And JT, I think he took a lot of Page's minutes.
Yeah. Page didn't play. And he paid. When Page was playing at the end, he wasn't playing many minutes. I feel like Halveen got more minutes to kind of be himself, where it wasn't like a quick couple minutes. I feel like he was out there getting good time to plant his roots on the court. So that was interesting to see. That was one thing that kind of stuck out. There's a couple other things too, but I won't take all the low hanging fruit that was that I kind of saw, like, besides the game, kind of what you're looking at, it's portal season and you kind of see stuff. It's like, well, this kind of looks like this, you know what I mean? A, B, you go in a rotation or, 2 + 2 is 4, right?
One thing I thought was interesting, I don't know if you saw this, JT or Neil, you saw this, but Page didn't play at all, but there were moments during the game, and not just the beginning, not even the middle, but even towards the end, that he was jumping up and he was cheering on his teammates.
Yeah, no, for sure. He was excited. He was like, I mean, for somebody that didn't play, it could have been like super down. I mean, he was first team all bench, like no BS. Like if something good happened, he was like hype. I seen him like doing like routines on the sideline. Like, I mean, I thought he was a hell of a teammate. So that's good to see no matter what. Because you could be pissed. I mean, Halveen played double-digit minutes, and he didn't play any. He could have just been on the sideline, like somebody dunks. He could have been on the sideline, like throwing the burst at his teammates on camera if he wanted to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no question. And here's the thing. Like, I think, listen, I think Page has a lot of talent. I think eventually he's going to be a really good player. But the basically where this team is at, they need somebody that can get right away.
Yeah,
get done right away. And when Page is out there, he's thinking so much because I don't know that he's had a lot of coaching and game reps where he's had to go through the things that you need at the Big 12 level. So his pace of play is so slow because he's thinking like, oh, am I supposed to be over there? Am I supposed to be there? And while he's thinking where he should be, he's standing in place.
Yeah.
Whereas with he's like moving. I mean, it was like moving and just high energy. You know, Hugs used to say, you know, you're going to make mistakes, but if you're playing at high energy and physical, you'll make up for a lot of mistakes you make.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
And so I saw glimpses of him when you know the time. How many? Am I saying it right? Is it how you say it?
Halveen.
Yeah.
Halveen. I just want to make sure I'm saying it correctly. How many minutes did he get last night?
Let's see. I'm pulling it up now.
14?
Yep. Career high.
14. So, I mean, there were times I'm like, yo, this is like, he's like a Bearcat. Like, I felt like he was a Bearcat type of guy. So, definitely pleased with that, JT.
Yeah, 100%, man. I want to say, like, another thing that shocked, you know, I think me and Neil were talking about it on, you know, via text. First people off the bench were, you know, Dan and Rayvon. So that was pretty cool to see Ray get his career high, you know, 15 minutes. Didn't have like the greatest stat line, but I feel like he had impactful minutes. I thought it was real positive. His energy was there. You know what I mean? So just some stuff sometimes it's just not. I feel like you know you get more comfortable too. So I feel like I'm expecting him to have a decent game against UCF for real, honestly. But it was good to see, man. See him come in there and just play with energy and do positive stuff on the court.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I was talking to somebody about this with Rayvon. In this day and age with portal and, you know, just people jumping from team to team, you've got a guy in Rayvon who, in my opinion, wants to be a Bearcat, wants to finish his career as a Bearcat, wants to be loved as a Bearcat. I mean, that's the perfect situation, I think, for a coach. So I'm rooting for Rayvon to do so well, and I'm glad coach is giving him some minutes. Hopefully play some heavy minutes versus UCF so we can show that he's capable. And I think you make a great point, JT. He'll probably feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, next game. But, I mean, here's a guy like he wants to play. He wants to play with Tyler McKinley. That's his best friend.
Yeah.
You don't want to go anywhere. Those two want to be Bearcats for life.
No, facts. No, for sure. He definitely doesn't want to. You know what I mean? Like, you see it, man. I feel like he's the one of the people that, like, when he goes on the court, like, he's just going all out. And you can see it. Like, if somebody gonna make mistakes, yes, that's gonna happen. But I thought he did a couple good things, you know, on Tuesday. So it was good to see that. You know, just like that means like during this process, he must have, you know, showed the coaches something that, you know, something they need to see. He played 15 minutes, man. That's nothing to sneeze at.
Yep. For sure. Neil, sorry, we haven't talked to you much. Neil, how you doing?
I think for me, the biggest thing to take away from this game is obviously we talk about Halveen getting the early minutes off the bench and making an impact on this game. But I think most importantly, the biggest takeaway outside of Halveen and Ray getting those early minutes and playing a big role was Day Thomas's defensive efforts in this game. He finished with 7 steals and 13 points, which 7 steals is tied for the third most in single game steals in school history with Michael Horton and Kashmir Wright. So overall, I thought Day Thomas.
Hold up, dog. You just threw out a Michael Horton? That was my teammate. I haven't heard that name in forever. By the way, I'm sorry, Neil, to cut you off. Michael Horton was one of the funniest dudes like ever. Straight from Virginia, man. My bad. You threw Michael Horton. I haven't heard that before ever.
Yeah, so overall, like I said, I thought his play in this made a immediate impact on the game, and that's what Cincinnati needed from that point guard position, was to see guys like Day Thomas and Jizzle James continue to make an impact. And Day Thomas continued to do so on the defensive end, and that sparked a huge momentum shift in this game, right? 7 steals, I mean, that's not something that you see every game in college basketball as a player with 7 steals. So overall, that was a huge performance in that aspect. Halveen played huge minutes, as we talked about, but overall, it was just great to see Cincinnati kind of find their momentum. 6 guys in double figures. Dylan Mitchell leads the way with 15 and 7. Jizzle with 13. Day with 13. Aziz with 11. Dan 12. Seamoss 11. Overall, that's the kind of performance and the numbers that you were expecting to see from Cincinnati all year. But most importantly, I think the biggest takeaway was, despite it being the Crown tournament in the first day in April when this game was played, you could still see the fire that Coach Miller had. I don't know if you guys saw that clip that came out. Was like, what do you look forward to here to finish the first half? And Coach Miller was like, well, hopefully we can get an offensive rebound. So overall, to see that kind of fire, even if it is a new postseason tournament, to see that and that he's willing to coach his team all the way through the end, I thought that was pretty unique and cool to see.
Hey, Neil, thoughts on Betsy? He only played 2 minutes.
Yeah, that was interesting too, because everyone kind of knew, like, you didn't know what to really expect from minute allotments heading into the Crown tournament. But to see Tyler Betsy play 2 minutes, that was a guy who was first man off the bench behind Dan Skillings or Simas Lukosius throughout the regular season. But then you look down, you see Halveen get 14 minutes, Ray get 15 minutes, Dan get 23 minutes off the bench, Simas get 23 minutes off the bench, Josh Reed continues to make a big impact. Overall, to see him only get 2 minutes was kind of surprising, but overall, you thought you would see him get a little bit of run when the game kind of opened up a little bit, but only seeing 2 minutes is definitely a little shocking.
Yeah, so JT, Neil, is it pretty much safe to say Paige, Betsy, Portal, gone?
All right, so
I'll let JT take it.
my thoughts on this is them Instagram posts is already typed up, my peoples.
They got it ready to go.
I'm talking about if they lose
tomorrow.
I'm talking about we might not even have a Wes Miller post game clip. You hear me? It's gonna be like we type.
And I'll follow one too I'll follow in on it if you follow the social medias during this time. There is a profile picture that you would probably want to click on, and you'll see why we assume that. It says under construction.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm confused. What happened now?
If you follow it like on the social media, I know JT and I talk about it.
Yeah.
If you follow it on social media, you get your assumptions and whatnot when the transfer portal opened up. There is a profile picture of a player who took down everything, and his profile picture says under construction.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
so it kind of, if you do the thinking, and this kind of season where it's portal season is what people call it, it kind of gives you the assumption of what many are thinking.
6 guys in double figures. What do we think about that?
I like it.
Yeah,
obviously
like
we would have had that all year, right? But
man, only dream and hope, right? But I like it a lot, man. I'm with that. We need yes, UCF. Not to jump the gun, but hey, if we can get 6 again, that's what we need. But yeah, none of the just one person have double digits. Let's go ahead. If we're gonna play in the tournament, let's play in the tournament. Damn it, let's not even. Let's don't waste some time. Let's get to it. Get to the buckets.
And I think we've got to be careful, fellas, of we can't get too high and too low with this team. You know, we got to kind of stay in the middle because, listen, that DePaul team was down, right?
Yeah, that was.
At one point, they were ready to board the plane.
Yeah.
Like, it was a wrap.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see that with UCF to the level we saw with DePaul in terms of just checking out. They were ready to go.
Yeah, for sure. DePaul was like, man, I ain't getting enough NIL for this.
No doubt. The one guard is actually in the portal.
In the portal, yeah, and he ended up playing. With respect, he played.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be the same way with UCF because when you looked at the box scores, UCF only played 8 guys in game 1, and 3 of those guys were in the transfer portal.
Jeez. Wild times we live in, right now.
That is crazy. He pulled the Scotty. What's the Pippen son?
Oh,
Justin Tipton.
Justin Pippen.
It's in the portal while his team's still making
in
a
Sweet 16. He's in the Sweet 16. Like, nah, cuz.
Yeah.
And I'm out.
Hey, and later in the podcast, we need to talk about college basketball and the state of college basketball.
For sure. 100%.
We'll get to that towards the end. This is the Bearcat game recap segment sponsored by Purple Monkey Project. The Purple Monkey Project was formed following the tragic loss of 10-year-old Reagan Vanalis in May of 2021. Reagan was a ray of sunshine who lit up every room. The Purple Monkey Project is named after Reagan's favorite stuffed animal and seeks to keep Reagan's spirit alive by being a ray of light in the community and promoting random acts of kindness. By providing scholarships and other financial support, of youth and youth-centered charities in Southwest Ohio. The Purple Monkey Project seeks to pay it forward, all in the name of Reagan. To learn more about the Purple Monkey Project, please visit purplemonkeyproject.org or visit them on Facebook at Purple Monkey Project. Now, this Thursday at 7 p.m., the Bearcats take on UCF in Las Vegas at the Crown. You're listening to Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. Let's jump right into the Big O segment, sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. In this segment, we cover players to watch and key matchups. JT, who are you expecting a big game from?
All right, man. I'm going with Dylan Mitchell to follow up with his 15-7 game. The reason why I picked Dylan Mitchell was last time they played UCF, he had 19-6. That's on the road. Got some Florida love. So hopefully they're going to be in Vegas this time, but hopefully playing against a team from his home state, he comes through with another, impactful game. I wouldn't mind another 19-6 for sure. But even if it's around 15-7, that's definitely what the Bearcats need. No 2-4 games. You know what I mean? Let's go ahead, stay aggressive. Get to it. Let's get to it.
Yeah, so we got to give a shout out to Neil. Neil picked Dylan Mitchell.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Last spot. So shout out Neil. Good job on that. And I continue to watch Dylan Mitchell, man. I just see these flashes of brilliance, man. And I would like, hopefully he's able to stay next year and not get in the portal. But man, I don't know about you, JT, but I just want to see more consistency from him. Little more attitude when he plays. I know he's smooth, he's calm.
Yeah.
He says all the right stuff in the press conferences, man. I'm just so impressed with the things he says, but I need a little more dog. I need a little more attitude on that court, man.
Yeah. A little more like, hey, I'm about to get it. Like, because he has the skill.
Woo,
he has
big
the skill.
time.
And it's just like, sometimes, like, man, you got to just say F it sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
He's like probably too nice. A little too nice. You need to have that, man. Y'all can yell at me, but I'm about to go get to it mentality sometimes.
If I was Wes and the staff, what I would do is I would clip a bunch of Kenyon Martin moments, from Kenyon's senior year, of just him rebounding the shit out of the ball, him going after, dunking on people, and just that attitude that Kenyon played with. And I'm not saying Kenyon and Dylan are the same player, but I'm saying, hey, listen, you've got all the talent in the world. Here's a guy, Kenyon Martin, that came to the University of Cincinnati with really one other major Division I scholarship offer, and that was Texas A&M. Let me take that back. Temple as well. I apologize. Temple and Texas A&M and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So, Dylan Mitchell came into the game, in the recruiting standpoint with way more offers, right?
Yeah.
A lot of talent. He looks like the prototypical high-level elite college basketball player.
For sure.
If you were to show me Dylan Mitchell and just some of those highlights, I'm like, that guy's going pro. Like, you get small glimpses of it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
But I always think, like, sometimes you need to look at your past and your history, and you've got guys like the Steve Logans, the Reuben Pattersons, the Kenyon Martins, the Eric Hicks, where you can just show these guys, like, look at this Bearcat, man. This is what you could become. They came in. The guys I named didn't come in 5 stars.
Yeah.
Left out. Bad money, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Stamped. They was definitely stamped when they left. That's for sure.
No question. Neil?
Yeah, for me, my player to watch in this game, I'm going to go with Aziz Bandaogo in this one. And the reason being is due to the roster construction of UCF right now, they are lacking size in the front court there because their only big caliber player is Mustafa Thiem, who had a big game versus Cincinnati down in Orlando the first time back in February, but they are really lacking size in the front court due to everybody getting in the transfer portal. So that should free things up for guys like Aziz Bandaogo, Dylan Mitchell, Halveen, depending on what that minute situation looks like. AP, whether he plays or not. But I'm really looking forward to seeing Aziz Bandaogo make an impact in this game.
I think Neil, in the past, I think you've picked Aziz before, and he had like a really good game. Am I right? Was that like not long ago you picked Aziz and he came out and played like one of his best games as a Bearcat?
I think so.
Am I right?
Right. Fairly certain.
Yeah.
And I think I picked him for the Crosstown.
You did?
Yeah.
And
he was playing like real good. He was like Aziz. Everybody was like Aziz.
Right. Like this is what we expected.
Yeah.
You know, and I think people have to understand Aziz, he kind of is what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you want somebody that tall and big to be something they're not. Like Aziz is not going to catch the basketball back to the basket and
put
power move.
Exactly.
It's just not him. And you
nope.
have to go, this guy's going to catch lobs. He's going to protect the rim. We need him to get some, big time defensive rebounds. Like if he does that at a high level, this basketball team's successful. But yeah, it's just, he's just, the more and more you watch him, he's just limited in some of the areas that I think this Bearcat basketball team needed him to be.
Yep.
If he had, listen, and we could always sit up here and say, you always hear people, man, if I was 6'5", I'd be dunking on everybody. If I was 7 foot, yeah, you say that, but how tall is Aziz? 7 what? 2, 7?
7'1".
7'1". Man, that's tough being that tall. Like and he's thin too. He's put on a little bit of weight, but he's thin, man.
He's got a thin frame too. It's a difference. It's harder, a little harder, man.
Yep, no question. The Big O segment is sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. So my pick's going to be Jizzle. I'm going to go with Jizzle. I think this will be a game where he excels in terms of like pushing the basketball at a high pace, kind of pulling up, shooting quick, because we know Jizzle likes to shoot the basketball quick. So coming off screens, pushing in transition, firing it up, and kind of my hope is the Bearcats get an early lead, and the reason they have that early lead is Jizzle starts cooking early. And I think that'll open it up for other guys, i.e., Dylan Mitchell. And then so if you got Jizzle cooking, then you could put Aziz in that screen and roll and get that lob going, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We beat UCF last time, correct?
Yes.
By like 10 points, something like that?
Yep.
Early in the year? Okay.
Yeah.
But keep our fingers crossed that we get the same result of victory with shit. How about 20 points? Let's
that'd be fire. Let's get a 20 ball.
Yeah, that would be good. The Big O segment sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. Do you have a business that needs better inventory control, production management, or improved accounting control? Outgrown QuickBooks or can't afford NetSuite? Give loyal Bearcat grads Doug and Kathy Jacobs at Smart Dog Solutions a call. They've been in your position and would love to help solve your problems. They can be contacted at 513-739-9473 or online at smartdog-solutions.com. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. It is time for everyone's favorite segment. Everyone around the world loves the name game with Neil Meyer, sponsored by Oakley Greens. Hit it, Neil. Hey.
I should have wore a crown for this episode for the name game.
You should have. See, you're slipping like one of them Burger King.
No, missed opportunity, like a Burger King crown. That would have been fantastic.
Now, if they win this game,
they win, and I'll do it.
Next game, you've gotta get one. Okay.
I'll go to Burger King and I'll buy a crown, even though nobody eats Burger King no more.
Wow. Well, so much for Burger King being a sponsor.
Man, we're cooked on that.
Nobody eats that place no more, but I'll wear a crown.
I will say this, and you guys, we've talked about this, but I've gone vegan, so I eat vegan now. Burger King has an Impossible Burger, a vegan burger. I actually tasted it one time. It is not too bad. I got to give Burger King a little props for that. Not too bad. All right, let's jump into the name game with Neil Meyer, sponsored by Oakley Greens. All right, you ready, Neil?
Yes,
I got a
sir.
curveball. We're not going to talk about UCF because we covered them earlier this year. We're going to talk about Idaho State. And guess what their mascot is?
That is a good question. I didn't even look at their mascot.
Who they?
Bengal.
The Bengals. Who they? All right, let's jump right into it. So with the name game with Neil Meyer, what we do is we take the opposing team, but in this case, I picked a random team, Idaho State. And JT, you always ask me, like, man, how do you find some of these schools? Like, how do you find this stuff? I actually looked up mascots and I found the Bengals, and I'm like, who's the Bengals? Idaho State. I've never seen Idaho State play, never heard of them.
Me either.
Until I looked it up. I said, I've never heard of Idaho State.
Idaho State.
Now, what we do is we look at the names of the players on the roster. Sometimes the names are just absolutely crazy, gob. They could be fun to pronounce, cool names, whatever the case might be. So we're going to cover Idaho State in the roster. Let's start, Neil, with number 0.
Number 0 for Idaho State, Joey Madimba.
He is from Mansfield, Texas. How'd you get to Idaho State, bro?
That transfer portal is wild.
He might not be there long. We talked about that, JT. Brother out in Idaho State. Man.
Take me, coach, please.
Hey, if you look at the team picture.
Right out there in the mountains, baby.
Look at that. Look at the bros, JT. Only one smiling. Only one. Right. 5. Everyone else is like, man, I got to get up out of here.
Man, like, damn, I got to do whatever it takes. Everybody definitely breaking plays off there. They're not running a whole set. It's like, you supposed to pass it? Nah, bro, I'm trying to get my stats because
I got to get in the portal next week.
It's about me. It's not about us. It's about me out there. Look at that, man. That looks crazy.
That's a wild. The background looks pretty cool though with the mountains and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. It just looks like stuff closes at 9. There.
Oh, definitely. There's nothing open past 9, and
there's no getting lit out there. I'll promise you that.
You know what though? That might be the only thing to do.
Yeah.
Actually, the only thing might be to do is to drink some beers and tequila out there or whatever.
Wonder what the what the student body looking like out there. That might save you if that's cool. But if it's a little sketchy, I can't see that many. I don't know. Let me chill.
let's jump back into this before you get going. Neil, number 2.
Number 2 is Nick Getty.
I like how you Getty. He broke that down. He is from Oregon. Okay. That's an interesting haircut he has going on there.
He got that Napoleon Dynamite swag.
Yeah, he does. My guy, Nick Getty. All right, number 3. And his mustache is tough, too, by the way.
Number 3 is Quentin Meza.
Straight from Utah.
He's from Utah.
Yep. All right, number 11.
Number 11 is Martin Keel.
Oh, that was easy. Make it a little bit tougher. Read where he's from. Now that's the real. Huh? Whoa! Start over.
Ginterview, Radek, Czech Republic, and even better, where did he go to school, Alex?
Get Better Academy.
Get Better Academy is wow. Get better.
So I picked him not because his name was so, wild. It was like where he's from and then what school he went to before Idaho State. Get Better Academy.
Get better.
Where do you go to school? Get better.
Get Better Academy.
Get better.
Wow. Get better, bro.
That's just being homeschooled. That's all that is.
Yeah.
That's Get Better Academy.
Gotta be homeschooled.
Yeah, for sure.
He couldn't put his address there, so.
No, I said I'm gonna put get better. All right, number 32.
Number 32 is Blake Daberco.
That's pretty good.
From Lincoln, illest dude in Nebraska.
Man, Lincoln, Nebraska. You ever been there, JT?
No
reason to ever.
I think I have been there as a kid, but that don't count.
Wait a minute. Why were you there as a kid?
I think I drove through Nebraska. I don't know.
You didn't stop. You
No, I don't know. I feel like I might have stopped though. I feel like my dad was in the Air Force. I feel like one of his friends was stationed there when we was driving. Like back, we drove literally from Sacramento to Dayton, Ohio, but we was like stopping at places.
Like
I remember that.
Like
we stopped and stayed the night or whatever. Or I feel like we stayed in like Utah, like Salt Lake. I feel like when I was a kid.
Okay.
I feel like does that make sense? I feel like we stopped in Nebraska. I feel like we was in Nebraska for real. Now that I think about it, I don't know if this shit makes sense, but I feel like we was in Nebraska.
Okay.
I feel like we might have been in St. Louis.
You probably stopped at a Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel sounds like they're popping in Nebraska.
Probably. And Cracker Barrel breakfast is fire though. Hopefully my dad hooked me up with some Cracker Barrel.
You know what I've always found fascinating about Cracker Barrel is like you walk in and they have so much random shit. I'm like
in the front. It's like so cluttered.
The front of Cracker Barrel is insane. I'm like, who comes to get food and goes, you know what? I'm gonna buy an iron and an evening dress.
Yeah,
like, that's what I need
now to complete this. To complete my day. Like, damn, I've been looking for this shit all day. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, because I'll be like in there, like only thing that I feel like my kids be trying to get candy or something, but I'll be like, I'm trying to get the fuck out of this place.
It is going back. It's like going back in time.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely a time warp. But they pancakes be on point though.
I remember when I used to eat them. I remember the pancakes. The buttermilk pancakes were tough.
Yeah, they A1. I can't knock it. I have nothing bad to say about Cracker Barrel pancakes. So
okay.
Yeah.
Better stop hating on the front part of.
That front part is wild though. But I mean, it must work because they ain't never changed.
It's never changed, but it always seems like it's just no one buys anything. Like I think it might be a front.
Here, like
they might be laundering money.
And shit.
They might be.
They might be laundering money out of that.
And they on a Marty Bird.
Marty Bird. Marty Bird is laundering dirty money out of the front of a
Marty Bird. Don't let me find out Marty Bird running this shit. You know what's going on.
By the way, Ozark is my favorite show of all time.
Ozark is? It's definitely up there. It's not my favorite, but
I've watched it 3 times, bro, and I don't have time to watch the show 3 times. I watched it 3 times.
Hey, that show was fire though. That was definitely one of my faves though.
I love
Marty Bird was tight, man.
Marty Bird I didn't know he was that good of an actor until Ozark. I'm like, this dude is good.
Yeah, he's real good. It went like the arc was so crazy for him. They started off the chain and just was like it was wild.
He seemed like he's like an innocent, good guy. He just turned gangster on.
He turned super gangster. Once his back was against the wall, he was like, shit, I'm either gonna die or I got die or fly.
Wait a minute. If Ozark's not your favorite, it's my favorite. What's your favorite?
My favorite show ever is The Wire.
Okay. I'll
say second for me is Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Second
Neil
is Breaking Bad.
My favorite show of all time. I'm a big crime documentary guy. I like that show. The first 48 hours. I'll be watching that all day.
Okay. You like the crime stuff, the killer. Hey, before we jump off the name game, Neil, go back to the Idaho State roster and look at. I feel bad. Like I feel like I shouldn't do this. Go to the bottom of the student manager. First name is Jenna, and just read her name and just click on the picture. I shouldn't. I knew JT was gonna laugh.
Oh shit! She probably got a nice soul.
Oh, you
are awful, Meach. You are awful.
Hey, this shit is funny.
If you're trying to get me to say the last name, it is Schermerhorn.
She looks like a Schermerhorn.
That's her name for sure. She can't run.
You guys are awful human beings.
Damn. Hey, man.
I tell
Shout
you
out
what,
to Jenna though.
hey man, if that was my daughter, I would be laughing the same way. That
Yeah.
is bless her heart. Where is she from? Yorba Linda, California. I have never heard of that in my life.
You from Cali though? Dang,
Yeah.
I thought she was from Idaho.
Looks like it.
Yeah, she didn't. Let me chill. Let me chill. Y'all don't look like a Cali girl to me.
Hold
But
on. I'm gonna look her up.
maybe I don't know. I'm jaded, I guess. But
You know what? Let me save this. I'm gonna look at her on Instagram.
like she from Montana, so
What you say?
like she from Montana or something, or
It does
Dakota.
look like she's from a random. Oh yeah, I'm gonna find her on Instagram.
Hey, what if she be like lit out there?
Man, you know what, JT? We better just go ahead and get out of this segment because this is going bad.
she might be talk of the town.
See, look. The name game with I'm getting out of this one. The name game with Neil Meyer sponsored by. See, I started it, so it's my fault.
Hey man,
that's crazy.
that was the alley oop to Aziz, man, on the clear pick and roll, man.
That was definitely the alley oop.
That's the beginning of the season alley oop right there.
Yeah, not the ones T-Mont throws sometimes that are over the backboard. The name game with Neil Meyer sponsored by Oakley Greens. Oakley Greens, the ultimate stop to catch your hometown team and every big game with 6 giant LED screens and TVs at every angle. It's more than a sports bar. It's your entertainment headquarters. All the sports, all the time, all at Oakley Greens. Located in Oakley Station next to the cinema. You can check out their website, oakleygreens.com. Let's jump into the Kenyon segment, sponsored by Greg Hooden at Beachmont Toyota. This is where we cover the keys to the game. JT, what did the Bearcats need to do to win?
Man, so I am going to sound like a broken record. Call it the 360, not the 180, the 360.
Yep.
Get my Vince Carter on. 45% from the field or higher. Win the glass. 45%. And I thought, even though they were shooting too many jumpers. I feel like they did a better job shooting better shots in the second half, late first half. So I need them to come out more zeroed in early that first 5 minutes. But yeah, shoot over 45%.
Okay, so 2 questions for you, JT. When you talk about win the glass, who specifically do you need to just crush it on the glass?
All right, man. So I need Dylan to have 6 to 10 rebounds. I need Aziz to have 6 to 10 rebounds for sure. And then everybody else can chip in. Like everybody else team effort. But I need those 2 guys to be like everything that comes off the glass is theirs. They got to be like thieves out there. All the shit's there. You know what I mean?
Yep. Neil?
Yeah, for me, I think the biggest thing too, like JT mentioned, is Aziz, the key to the game. But my keys to the game in this is going to be play with some intensity, right? I think if they play with the same intensity, the same kind of fire that they had on Tuesday versus DePaul, I think this could be an easy matchup because you're looking at how UCF played versus Oregon State. I mean, it's also worth noting they won at the buzzer essentially versus a very bad Oregon State team, despite being shorthanded. But most of their guys, I mean, 33 minutes, 32 minutes, 27 minutes, 32 minutes. It's a very slim roster that they took out there. So if you push the intensity, you're going to get UCF tired, and they're going to be forced to play guys more minutes than they are hoping to. So overall, you push the intensity, and I think this is a chance where Cincinnati could go to the Final Four of the Crown.
When you talk about intensity, give me one guy you want to see lead that charge.
Honestly, leading the charge, I want to see Aziz Bandego. Everybody knows the kind of fire and the passion he plays with. But if you can get him going there on the offensive end, he can give you a couple offensive rebounds. He can go give you those loose ball efforts that we have seen him do. I mean, we've seen him jump into the stands. We've seen him dive on the floor for loose balls. If they play like that and they dive after every loose ball, I think they're going to win pretty big tomorrow versus UCF. But matter of fact, speaking of diving loose balls, this is going to be a little bit of a change of topic. Did you guys see that video of Houston's practice gone viral? Did you guys see that, JT?
I saw a caption of like Houston's practice is like wild, but I didn't look at the
and how they're just throwing balls on the floor, and it's like you see the whole team diving at it, no matter where the ball's at.
Yeah.
Pause.
Diving, balls, going for loose balls. Yeah.
Yeah. You got
pause it up.
You should have said it before you even said.
Yeah, you should have been like, pause this. Whole breakdown. But I'm going to go where I go. But I feel you. I know what you're saying, though.
But if you watch the clip, you will see why Houston's intensity and their energy is always so high, and it makes them a really good defensive team because of what they did in that clip. Because teams are diving on the floor, they're hustling, they're getting after it each and every day. So I mean, if Cincinnati plays with that intensity, it kind of reminds you of the old school former Bearcats. I think they'll be in good hands tomorrow.
Hey, real quick, Neil, do you still have the stats up from the Oregon State UCF game? How many minutes did Josiah Lake play, Jr.?
Let's see. For Oregon State, Josiah Lake played 34 minutes and 17 seconds.
Okay. What was his stat line?
2 for 9, 0 for 3 from deep. Missed his only free throw opportunity. He had 8 rebounds, just 4 points.
Okay. That's my friend's son. Yeah, Josiah's. I've known him since he was like a little kid. They're from Beaverton, Oregon. They're from out in Portland, man.
Beaverton.
Good family, good people. So I didn't get a chance to see that game. I meant to text him to see how his kid did. I was hoping Oregon State won so they would play UC and his son would go against the Bearcats, but the Kenyon segment is sponsored by Greg Hooden at Beachmont Toyota. Now, fellas, I know you guys have said some things in terms, it seems like maybe you guys are a little bit more confident in this game than I am. I'm actually a little bit worried about this game, and I'm going to tell you why. So we've played them before, and I think if we'd play like an Oregon State, just the unknown, I think our guys would maybe get up for it a little bit more. I sometimes worry that they've played them before. We beat them by 10. They lost a couple guys to the portal. I don't want our guys to relax because, we've seen it before. We've seen our guys come out first round of the Big 12 tournament, beat Oklahoma State. Next game.
Yeah.
So I'm a little concerned. And two, listen, Johnny Dawkins is he's a very cerebral, smart guy. He's gonna cook something up. But I will say this: if we can continue with this 6 guys in double figures, now I don't know that we'll continue with 6 guys in double figures, but 4 to 5, and maybe of those 4 or 5, 2 are at a high level double, like at 20 points. I'll feel comfortable about that, but I don't know. I got a weird, and you never know. Like JT, you never know how these guys are going to react to. Okay, yes, the second round of the crown. We just won the first game.
Yeah,
they, like, man, who cares? I'm out.
Yeah, for sure. They in Vegas too, so they might be like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, coach, we got practice. All right, cool. Get to the treatment. They out here. You know what I mean? Weather probably real fire.
Oh,
so yeah, they got a little money in their pocket. I'm guessing, as long as everybody did well with whatever they was granted with the NIL, they might have got a little change in their pocket. You know what I mean?
Walking up and
down,
burning
the hook. Yeah, right on the strip.
That's strip.
You know what I mean? They look like ball players. You feel me? So they gonna get some eyes. See what happened. So hopefully they locked in and they ain't going too crazy.
I hope so. But I will say, if I feel like if they can come out and if they play well, beat UCF, I have a lot of confidence that they can win this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will, but we got to get over the hump with this game. By the way, have you seen? Speaking of Las Vegas, did you see that UNLV that team with with Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon? They're going to do a complete documentary on that team.
No, that's legit.
Yeah, I think HBO did a documentary.
They did. But wasn't it more towards Jerry Tark? Wasn't it more towards Tark?
I didn't see it.
Like I've seen. Don't get me to lie. I only seen it once, but I feel like it was about that team and about how he kind of like brought UNLV up. I feel like, if I'm not mistaken, like it was kind of like the come up. like him building the team up before they got Larry Johnson in them, and then once that happened when they got Larry Johnson in them. I feel like it was more towards that.
I need the stories. Like Tark has obviously passed away now.
Yeah.
So you can really like
say some stuff.
You can say some stuff, and apparently the players are involved in this documentary. They've got some say in the production.
It should be pretty fire. What's that going to be on? You know?
I don't know. I just kind of saw a quick blurb about them. It might have been on like TMZ or something like that.
I bet that's going to do numbers.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be good because listen, I think like you look at my favorite college basketball teams ever. Obviously UC's Final 14, Michigan Fab 5, but man, that UNLV team. Woo,
yeah. That's like one of the first teams I can remember for real. That UNLV team was crazy.
Crazy good. Crazy good. So I'm excited. By the way, so years ago, I don't know if I told you guys this story. When I was in Vegas one day, and I went up and looked up UNLV's roster, and this was like pre-pandemic. And I was like looking at their players, and I didn't notice anybody. And I'd never been to UNLV's like arena or camp, anything like that. And then I like started looking up their staff, and then I saw like one of their GAs, their grad assistant. I was like, dang, he looks familiar. And then I saw he was at Arizona, and I text my buddy who coaches at Arizona. I'm like, hey, do you know this kid? And he's like, yeah, he worked for us. He worked for us at Arizona. Like, you met him before. And I was like, I knew he looked familiar. And I was like, would you give me his number? So I text him, and he hit me right back. And I was like, would you mind giving me a tour? So I went over to UNLV's arena, Thomas and Mack or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And he gave me like a complete tour. I went to like the lower level. Jerry Tarkanian's office, they haven't touched it. So the door's locked, and you could see through it. It's like a glass thing. It's got like stuff he wrote on the board. It's got his, you know, that towel he would chew on?
Yeah.
Towel on the table. There's papers. They never touched it. It's crazy. Like, it was like eerie looking at it. And he was like, we can't go in there. Like, the door is like sealed. That's like Jared Tarkanian's office. Like,
that's crazy.
Isn't it crazy? Like, the stuff he wrote on the board is still up on that board.
Damn.
Yeah. No, it was it was like a museum at the lower level, and it smelled terrible down there too.
I bet.
It was terrible. Like, that arena was like the arena itself they redid, and it's kind of like an NBA arena because they hold the NBA summer leagues there.
Yeah, yep.
But everything else is just, it's trash, man. It's
dang,
like,
for real. I thought it was legit since they had a summer league there, but
well, let me rephrase that. The lower level were like I think they probably look at the lower level like maybe museum type of
okay
deal. It smelled really bad. And he warned me. He's like, it smells bad down there. And but if you want to see some history, like they've got pictures on the wall of like all these former UNLV players, Stacey Augmon, and just it was really cool and like kind of like that goosebumps seeing it. You know, if you liked UNLV's team, but
yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, it was super cool. So I'm excited for this documentary. Neil, do you even know this team we're talking about? Or you?
I've heard of them, but I'd have to definitely look back into it a little bit more.
You look up that quicksand yet, Neil?
No.
You watched Gilligan's Island? No. Cujo? No.
I watched Cujo a little bit. I gotta finish it.
Wait a minute, you started watching Cujo?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Cujo's crazy. That's a funny movie.
Well, you know what's crazy about that statement was it wasn't funny when we were growing up. Like, it was supposed to be.
Yeah, in fact, it was not.
Right?
It was not.
So fast forward to 2025, you're like laughing, like, oh, this shit is funny.
Yeah, exactly.
JT, I don't know about you, but after I saw Cujo when I was young, I was scared of like people that had dogs.
Yeah, for sure. That's like, for sure. Gonna bite you like Cujo.
Yeah. But you know, Neil, I don't want to get away from our next segment here, but I still got a bone to pick with you about your ratings for Coming to America. So we're going to talk about that in person. I'm not going to do it over the Zoom or our StreamYard here. We're going to have a stern talk, okay, Neil?
All right, I'm ready.
You ready? Because that's one of the greatest comedies of all time. JT, he was like, He's like, I give it a solid B. I'm gonna beat you. Give me a B.
A B.
Coming to America got a B.
Coming to America is that should be in a museum.
I should. Remember, do you ever see those things, JT, when we're like so off topic? This is what happens when you play in The Crown. We start talking about coming to America again. But do you ever see when they opened up that for like a week, they had like a fake McDowell's restaurant?
Yeah.
That's dope. That's
super dope. I had where was I at? And they had it. Was it in Indianapolis somewhere?
I know they did one in Chicago. I know that
like Indianapolis had one. It was a coming soon. I was there for like a baseball tournament or something. And I was like, bro, this is crazy. It was like coming soon. I was like, damn, I kind of want to come back up here just to get a Big Mick. No sesame seed buns on. You know what I'm saying?
McDowell's. That's crazy, man.
Crazy. That was fire though.
Neil gave it a B. Wait till I see you in person again, man. I'll tell you what. The Kenyon segment, Keys to the Game, was sponsored by Greg Hood and Beachmont Toyota. Come see fellow Bearcat Greg Hood and Beachmont Toyota for all your new and pre-owned Toyota needs. Look for Greg Hoodin on Instagram and Twitter at Cincy Greg Hoodin. Hoodin is spelled Hoodin. Or come see Greg at Beachmont Toyota. Always ready to help our Bearcat family get into a new Toyota. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. Let's jump into the Twyman segment sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. This is where we cover hot topics. All right, fellas, we're going to start with you, JT. Excuse me. So our hot topic for this particular episode is, and listen, we've all been kind of complaining about this, but what changes would you like to make to college basketball as it relates to either the portal or NIL?
All right. So for me, I know we all talked about what we're going to talk about, so I will not dance around the topic. Go into other spots. So I want to make sure everybody gets their thunder, but 2-year contract for the players. So coming out of high school, if you go to a school, you're there for 2 years. Coach can't kick you out unless you do something crazy. Only way you can leave is if the coach gets fired or if they leave for another job. They come out, they do that, and the young man should have the opportunity to leave if they want to or stay. But besides that, I feel like it should be a 2-year commitment. If they're a grad transfer, like if they haven't transferred or whatnot before, they probably only got 1 year or whatnot, then that's fine. But it's a 2-year commitment if you have 2 years of eligibility left, essentially.
And how would that work with the NIL money? So is that tied into the 2-year deal?
Yeah. So I was thinking about that. It would be tied in, depending on say if a kid got 800,000, maybe you have it where it's like, hey, you can. It probably have to be almost like an NBA contract per se if you're going to still get the 800, or unless they're comfortable giving it to you. But say, if you play, you meet X, Y, and Z, you still get 800 next year, right? Or if not, then you're probably going to be here, so you get 500 or something like that. It's no matter what, you got a baseline. No matter what, you got 800 this year, maybe no matter what, you're still going to get 400 a year next. But at least you know what you're going to get, and you got a baseline, and it's on paper.
Mm-hmm. Now, so listen, I think that's a great recommendation. Do you foresee something like that? Do you think that would ever? I know that's something you would like to see.
Yeah.
But realistically, do you think that's something that would come down the line here in the next couple of years?
I think they need to do something like that. I feel like they will start having more NIL stuff on paper, far as when they are. I think when the salary cap, when they if the contract says the Big 12 is going to pay them the whole school $50 million, and then they have 20 that goes directly to the whole athletic department per se. Once that gets if that gets into place, I believe that's going to happen, then I think they will have to kind of legislate it that way, so they're not I don't know, kind of cap it, man, because you can't everybody won't be able to do a BYU and just give somebody $7 million every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just gonna get crazy, too crazy. And I want the kids to get paid, the young men to get paid for sure. But after a while, I mean, it has to be some kind of bylaws per se, or checks and balances per se. Because then you get people just leaving I mean, it still can happen, but you look at it now, it's cats, their college teams look like journeyman NBA players.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it's some people that's like, I've been at 4 schools in 4 years. Hey, and it is what it is, but it's hard to get, it's hard to build. I mean, unless you're just that guy, it's hard to really build your brand per se if you keep hopping around like that too. So I think it could be a tangled web for them, but I feel like you got to get paid if you know you're not about to go to the NBA too. So it is what it is. Right now.
Neil?
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of in the same boat with JT. Obviously, you want to see these young athletes get paid, especially with how they can kind of profit off their name, image, and likeness. However, I think there does need to be a transfer rule, right? Obviously, you had the big case last season about 2-time transfers. I do think you need to kind of find a way to implement and limiting transfers because, like JT mentioned, you're seeing guys go from school to school to school to school every year. Some of them are playing for a different school every year. Like a great example of this is Ryan Conwell from former Xavier, USF. He went from USF to Indiana State to Xavier, now to Louisville. That's 4 schools in 4 years.
That's
so
crazy.
Overall, I mean, it is crazy, right? At one point, you're going to have to limit it and say, hey, 2-time transfers, that's it. Or else it's going to be an everlasting change in college athletics because, I mean, between Division I and Division II, I think I saw the other day that the amount of transfers just for the sport of basketball alone was close to 2,600 between Division I and Division II. So that's a lot. That's a lot of kids transferring. So overall, I think they just have to find a way to kind of contain that. You don't want it to get out of hand where, hey, this school's offering you 200,000. Let me take it my freshman year. And then you have a decent year and it's like, okay, this school's offering me $700,000. Boom, I'm out of there. Or the next school, you have a good season and they just continue to raise the offers and people bag chase. Yes, you want to see the athletes get paid. But however, at one point, when are you going to sit back and say, okay, we have to find a way to limit this and kind of make it a checks and balances kind of thing where everyone's getting the same opportunity and you have to, at one point or another, you're going to have to find the right fit, right? And I think if you have the rule of where you can only transfer a certain amount of times again, I think it'll really, really change and impact college athletics in a positive way.
Hey, Neil, when does the portal open and close? It opened what?
It opened on the 24th. It closes on Friday, and that's when a dead period begins.
It closes this Friday?
No, it closes 30 days after. My bad. So it'll close at the end of the month. However, there is a dead period this weekend, which for those who follow it basically means no player in the portal can visit schools until after the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, until after the Final Four and the national championship.
I think it would be interesting to change. I just started thinking about this. Maybe the opening and closing of the portal. Should it? What are your guys' thoughts about the portal actually opening? I'm thinking about this here. I haven't thought about this before. Should it open after the tournament? Or do you think it's fine for it to open during the NCAA? Because it was during the NCAA tournament, right?
Yeah, I think it should be after, honestly.
I think it should be after.
Okay.
I think it should be after. Just because, I mean, shit, people are going to make the moves. The coaches are dipping anyways. Like, the coaches are moving at a rapid pace.
Man.
I'm like, damn. Like, Cass is being there. Like, the Reeves was at West Virginia for not even a full year, was he? Like, he didn't even have a whole calendar year there. He was like, fucking, I am gone.
What's up? I mean? What's Buzz?
Buzz Williams.
Buzz Williams. He's at Maryland now, right?
Yep.
Yep. He's heading to Maryland. Yep.
And Cass is moving from good schools to good schools. It's not like, it's not like they're coming from Drake. No disrespect to Drake, and then going to a power school and then going. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that might be a little different, but it's Cass going from power schools to another power school. Like, F it, they're going to give me more NIL dollars here, and I'm gone in a raise, and I'm gone.
Yep.
So but I think it should still be afterwards. I think it should still be afterwards. I think it just make it cleaner. I think, but
I mean, because there's a coaches portal, really. If you really
the coach portal is even wilder for real.
Now that I think about that, because I'm looking at Buzz Williams. I mean, he's been as a head coach, Marquette, New Orleans, Marquette, Virginia Tech, Texas A&M, and Maryland from 2007 to present. So he's been four schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little surprised when he announced Maryland, weren't you? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I can understand. I mean, he's
that NIL money out there talking.
When he was at Virginia, I mean, that's kind of near Maryland, so maybe knows that area recruiting wise. But in NIL money, like you said, Neil. But yeah, I just started thinking about that. Like, should the portal open after?
It definitely should be after the season.
And is it open like 24/7? Or does it close at night? Like, I know it sounds weird to say, like, like Walgreens and shit. Does it like?
I think it's open 24/7 now. Obviously, it depends how your paperwork is filed and everything. Now, I don't think you're going to be getting a hold of somebody from the NCAA after 11 o'clock at night. They'll probably wait till the next day. But overall, I think, I definitely think there's people opening there. But you can basically say, hey, I'm going in the portal. You submit your application, and that's open anytime. It'll just kind of depend on how quickly they answer.
The portal was like 7-Eleven.
Open like
always open.
Like Jamar Chase, open all.
Oh.
But like that would be something like if it closed like at 9 p.m. and opened at like 10 a.m. No, and I'm being serious because like the coaches need a break from looking at the portal, like who goes in it, like give time to relax.
I wonder how those emails look because I feel like when people go to the portal, like all the coaches get an email, don't they?
Yep.
I have no clue.
Or some kind of like alert, you know what I mean? Like
they'll have the GA watching it 24/7 and just refreshing it.
And that's my point. Like there should be a closed period per day on it where like people could act like these poor GAs, man.
They get worked, boy.
They're bald like me. They've lost their hair just from the portal, man. It's like, and then they got to go get the plugs or the Beijing or whatever that's called. Like, it's not
right. I get that surgery, man. Get that hair surgery.
Carlos Boozer.
That Boozer next level. Boozer.
Oh man, the Twyman segment is sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. All right, so hey, I'm just gonna take one small difference, and then from what you guys talked about, which I totally agree with, actually, with the two things you guys said with the 2-year contract, 2-time transfer. But I'm going to talk a little bit about like a cap on the NIL. For example, the young man AJ that's going to BYU, he's getting what, roughly $8 million?
Yes, advanced stuff.
Yeah. So I think he's getting like 1.5 for the school he's at now, the prep school or whatever that is. He's getting like 1.5. I mean, dude,
it's crazy.
Dude's like paid before he even gets to the league. But I think it'd be cool to see some sort of cap with it. So let's say it is, and I'm making this number up, but let's say it's $1 million, right? And now you put a lot of schools on more of an even playing field that they can afford to give a player at a high level $1 million. And now these players start having to make, I think, decisions about a right fit to a school. So, let's say I'm a high level player and I'm a $1 million type of player.
Yeah.
And, you get Cincinnati, UK, and all these schools, Xavier and Ohio State. Like, let's say all these schools start recruiting me. I'd honestly be like, okay, like no one can give me more than $1 million. So I really need to make sure this is a good fit for me.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I think that plays into it. That helps also with some retention, like someone wanting to stay for longer if they know that, okay, if I'm going to Cincinnati, they're giving me $1 million. It's not like I could jump somewhere else next year and get $2 million, a different bag.
Yeah.
Fit there, I'm good.
Yeah, yep. You get more of all right, I'm gonna stay here and put your roots down per se. Because now, Cass is like you can legit just like Conwell. I mean, I looked at who else was somebody like that, like just The dude from UCF, wasn't he like?
Keyshawn Hall. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
on 4 schools.
Yeah, so those cats like they got decorated badges now.
Yeah, it's
You go in there with like how people have your school ID. They got like what I'm saying, it's like a
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
talking about. You go into the building like oh shit, that's the wrong school.
right.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
might go to the game with the wrong shorts like Isaiah Ryder.
man.
You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing. Like, I think sometimes currently athletes and athletes' families are having to make a business decision now.
Yeah.
And it might have been when I was playing, it might have been a business decision for some players, but I don't think it was as much of a business decision as it is today, where you've got so much on the line. So I'm always, when I advise young people on certain things for my program in terms of college, I just had this conversation with a kid not long ago when he was talking about colleges in basketball. I'm like, listen, the college you pick, you've got to think like beyond 4 years. So when and listen, obviously transfer shit is
make it different. Yeah.
It's made it different. But when I'm advising a kid, like if you're looking at a school and you plan to be there for the whole 4 or 5 years, whatever it takes, you can't think of like just in a window of what that time period will look like. You have to think, where are you going to be 7 years from now? And did that institution help set you up for success for year 7? Right? So do they have the right major that's going to help get you that next level job, or help, if you go to school specifically to basketball to go play professionally, do they have those type of connections? Are they going to help you? Because when you go play professionally overseas, it's not about how good you are. It's about what are your numbers in college.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Like, they don't even watch. Some of the overseas coaches don't even watch video on the players. They just want to see their stats.
Damn.
That's an actual fact, because there's just too many players to watch.
Yeah.
They can't watch all these guys.
True.
Just give me their stats. Oh, David DeJulius, boom, 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 had these. Oh, he could play in our league. Shoot, boom.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to make sure you think about year 7, year 8, after you enter that institution, like where it's going to set you up. And I think for players that come to the university, I know I'm going on a tangent, I'm sorry, but for players that come to the University of Cincinnati, if you guys will 100% agree with this, if you come in the University of Cincinnati and you play 4 years and you give it your all, and you in that senior year just like busting your ass, doing everything, you could take Trey Scott as a perfect example. You will be loved, and I think you will always have a job in the Cincinnati community.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, I agree.
Right?
100%.
And that's a business decision. That, like, Trey Scott could go play overseas for however many years, and Trey Scott and I could freely say this because he and I have had this conversation. We've talked about this. He wants to come back to Cincinnati and get involved in real estate. And I'm like, Trey, you know how many people that donate to the University of Cincinnati that are in real estate? Like, that won't be that hard of a conversation. Like, you could get in the door and meet with these people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true.
So I'm sorry, I went on a long
that's dope.
tangent. I'm sorry. I'm out of breath. Hey, I think we need to have we're the NCAA committee. We're gonna fix this shit, okay?
Yeah, you gotta fix it, man. Cap it. Every school got a cap. And it's probably like levels to you, like, you know what I mean? You're in the big program, the big, Power 5, Power whatever. The lower programs, they gotta have a cap too. Help them out because they got money they got to give out to kids getting solid money at lower level schools as well on the lowest of keys. So, but cap it out. So then, they're like, because sometimes you can get the bag. Just think about the kids that went to go on my rant now. They went to Kansas. You had AJ Storr, and what was the other dude? The Coit kid. He was averaging 20-something points. Goes to Kansas, probably got a fire bag. He got a smaller school.
Not even just those two. It's one that Cincinnati fans are familiar with, Flory Badunga, who is also in the portal.
Yeah, but that's a little different just because he was a high school kid. So I'm going to go with the person that, like, had success on the college level. You averaging 20 points, you go to another school, you play a little bit, you're averaging 5 points. You know what I mean? It depends on the bag. The bag may be worth that drop off. You know what I mean? Of course, if you don't think you're going to make it to the next level, but it can happen. You know what I mean? Where you might be a sneaky pro player, you know, have a chance. You go there and then you're like just the 8th or 9th man when you were the man on the other team. So that can be a tangled web on that part of it. But maybe the bag's good enough where it's like F it, go for it. You know. So yeah.
Well, no, we're gonna solve this. We're gonna solve this NCAA stuff. You guys ready?
Yep.
Sure.
For sure.
Okay.
Tell them to put us on the payroll.
Put us on for sure. Put us on the payroll. We need some NIL deals. The Twyman segment was sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. Visionary Cleaners, a locally owned company by former Bearcat student athletes. They specialize in high quality commercial cleaning of businesses, apartments, and pre and post construction cleans. They can be reached at 513-388-7816 or contacted online at visionarycleaners.com. Fellas, this concludes another great podcast. Thanks to all of our sponsors, Donahue Accounting Services, Smart Dog Solutions, Greg Hood and Beachmont Toyota, Visionary Cleaners, Purple Monkey Project, and Oakley Greens. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. For friendly expert tax advice whenever you need it, come to Donahue Accounting Services, a leading accounting firm in Cincinnati, Ohio. Our top-notch accountants strive to help you resolve all your financial and tax issues. Call Donahue Accounting Services today for a free consultation at 513-528-3982 or visit online at DonahueAccountingService.com. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. Go Bearcats.